Yes, sir.
I have a question, John. With the difficulties internally within the Republican Party and the problems that exist there in some of the discourse, which is why I know a number of people are not here today, how is it that you really expect to make it to the governor's house with an 18-year-old little boy running things here in Mount Vernon for you, who has just recently, the only experience he has as far as work is being a union bag boy at Kroger's, and he's made vast, big proclamations that he's going to help revitalize business in downtown Mount Vernon, of which I own one.
Well, okay,
how exactly is that going to happen then to do that? Is he going to go pass out flyers for me and have everybody do that? I mean,
yeah. Okay.
How's that work? I mean, that's a great big difficult problem here, because you're faced with a very difficult uphill challenge right before you even get going.
No, okay, well, the first thing is, we want everybody that wants to go out and hang out flyers to be showing up for the flyer hanging out party, okay? There is nobody that we have appointed in charge of, if any. There are very few bosses in this campaign. We are a kind of a level organization, and we want teamwork. That's what I believe in, teamwork. And the people that want to get involved and want to get engaged and want to help me, we want them all involved. We now have, I'm going to be on Hannity next week. Somebody told me we can now send emails out to 252,000 people. Is that correct? I mean, this is a campaign that represents a movement. If you'd come down the day I announced, we had thousands of people at my announcement down in Westerville. So we're not like, this guy's the boss or this, that's not the issue. In terms of how am I going to win, I happen to be a Republican, but that's not my concern. I happen to be a conservative, and that's not my concern. I have one concern. And Ronald Reagan said, I heard a tape of him this morning, he said it's not either right or left, or it's not Republican or Democrat, it's the country. And my view is it's the state, okay? Now I'm going to beat Strickland. I mean, I don't even like to spend, look, Strickland is... Let me hit the nail on the head. As I like to say, if you have a house on the river, and the river's going to flood, Strickland will show up on a Saturday morning with a box of donuts and a pot of coffee, and you'll hold hands, sing Kumbaya, and watch your house float down the river. He's not a leader, okay? It doesn't make him a bad person. He's just simply not a leader. All we have to do is see what's been happening in this state, and frankly, we didn't have a leader before him. I'm not really all that interested in these side issues. I'm interested in one thing. I'm interested in letting people know that if we manage the government, if we cut taxes, if we fix workers' comp, if we have better trained workers, if we do a better job of educating our kids, we will have prosperity in this state. And I believe that that message gets out there, I will win. And I have to tell you, the polls indicate that he's in deep trouble. And it shouldn't even, I wish the election were this November, not a year from November. But as a businessman, I want you to know something. We all talk about the big businesses. It's not the big businesses that drive the country or put our people to work. It's your business.
Yes.
And if we don't recognize the importance of small business and fight for small business, regulatory, taxes, workers, all this crazy stuff that goes around, then we lose.
Does that mean you're going to get, in saying that then, does that mean that you're going to actually work to enforce some of the laws, like the antitrust laws, where my wholesale rate for things are higher than a retail rate in the company?
Well, look, now we're talking about whether we're going to have, we're talking about whether we're going to have to look.
He's asking a question.
Well, I'm giving you an answer. You're asking me to, look, you're asking me to try to be the Justice Department of the United States of America. I don't have antitrust power, okay? But what I want you to do is, I don't have antitrust power. I want you to have the authority to be successful. And that means sometimes that, people get caught between retail and wholesale and all these other things. It's complicated. But I know that if you go out of business, that's going to hurt us. But, one of the things I can't do, I'll give you a perfect example. We know that these gas stations that operate around the state, that some of the big oil companies own those gas stations. Now everybody said they shouldn't have a right to own gas stations, and we ought to let all these independents have gas stations. Well, that's good demagoguery, but that ain't the way the world works. And when I was in the legislature, I said, why don't we freeze the number of gas stations owned by the oil companies and try to preserve the independents? But having a debate about what the oil companies are selling to the independent gas station, I can't fix that. I mean, if the Justice Department says there's a violation, that's fine. But, I don't have that authority to do that. But what I am going to do is try to lift a lot of the impediments that are on you to keep you in business. And if you have a legitimate gripe, I'll be willing to listen and help you. But, I can't solve all these problems, sir. All I can do is the best I can. And we'd like to know what your problems are, and we try to help you. But I can't promise you anything. I could stand here and say, oh, yeah, no, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not making any false promises to anybody. I'm just telling you what I'm for, and if you like it, great. And if you don't like it, that's great too. We'll move on.